Objectivist, Politics and Happiness by Dave Walden. Please.
As Mike had indicated a few weeks ago, I gave a speech. The theme of it was to cite a personal anecdote that led to the idea that if we will only keep in mind that which we share in common, which is far, far greater than what we do not, then the results can be good and productive, even though we may not disagree or we may not agree with someone. In response to that speech, which Mike posted on YouTube, I received an email from a young objectivist, and he took me to task for, in that speech, failing to acknowledge that there are fundamental differences that arise with the conception of individual rights, depending upon what you base those rights on. And I read the speech, I read his reply, and of course, I do agree with him. But in my mind, this young objectivist, much like I was a young objectivist 51 years ago, has failed to grasp a significant difference. And I wish to elaborate for 5 to 7 minutes on that difference. Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism is a philosophy, just like various religions are a philosophy. They're a code developed to guide one's life for a purpose. Now, all philosophies, as Rand points out, have a metaphysics, an epistemology, an ethics, and a politics. I'll contrast, for example, the objectivist view of those things versus, say, the Christian view of such things, without disparaging either one. An objectivist believes, metaphysically, that existence exists. They don't know any more than anyone else how it got here, why it's here, how it came to be, what its causal agent may be. But they accept it for what it is. A Christian, on the other hand, believes that the universe was created by God for his purposes, and he put man on earth for, again, those purposes. Now, the next category of philosophy is epistemology. Okay? How does an objectivist know that the universe exists as he believes it exists? Well, he uses his 5 senses to see, hear, taste, touch, and smell existence. And then he uses his power of reason, integration and abstraction, deduction, so forth, to understand the information provided by his 5 senses. A Christian, on the other hand, believes, their epistemology is the Bible contains all the knowledge and wisdom one needs to know, and that the Bible tells him, the Christian, what he should do, how he should behave, and why. So that's how a Christian knows what he claims to know. An objectivist uses his senses and reason. A Christian looks to the Bible for guidance on how he knows what he knows. Now that leads to the third category and the important one. So what? If you believe these things and you can't claim to believe them for the reasons you do, so what? Well, here's where the big differences arise. An objectivist believes that based on the first 2 things, their metaphysics and their epistemology, that a human being has a right to his own life by nature of who he is and what he is. He owns his own life. A Christian, on the other hand, believes that no, he does not. His life belongs to God, and the Bible tells him how he should live it and behave. Now, the secular version, a non-religious person embracing the same types of metaphysics and epistemology, believes that no, your life doesn't belong to God, it belongs to the state, others. There's no such thing as God. A lot of them are atheists. A lot of objectivists are atheists. But the important point here is that an objectivist says you own your own life to do with it as you see fit. A Christian and a secular person believes otherwise. Now, that leads to politics. In my speech of several weeks ago, I said that I thought that if we all unite around the idea of individual rights, which we all claim to believe on the right, that should be the guiding principle on our political prescriptions, which politics is the fourth branch of philosophy. You attempt to integrate politically in the society in which you live the tenets ethically that you have derived from your metaphysics and epistemology. If you believe that a man's life does not belong to himself, but it belongs to others, then you will naturally try to politically implement laws and rules that are consistent with that. Whereas an objectivist, if they believe you own your own life, they will try to implement rules and prescriptions, legal prescriptions, that affirm and guarantee that. Now, obviously, it lets you, the mind go where the mind will take you. On one hand, you have the spectacle of people on the right believing that an individual has the right to his own life, just as Jefferson articulated in the Declaration, and at the same time, making legal prohibitions and sanctions for people who, owning their own life, conduct it in such a way that they don't harm anyone else, but they just don't like what they do. When you open the door to that, you open the door to those who have a whole different litany of why you don't own your own life, and you have an obligation to others. And you open the door to what we now have. I will end this by summarily stating Jefferson's wonderful Declaration. It talks about individual rights, and it mentions the pursuit of happiness. It does not talk about what makes happiness, but only its pursuit. And if we are to be consistent in support that marvelous declaration that articulates the pursuit of happiness, you have to make sure you allow everyone to be free to pursue it as they see fit, as long as they don't hurt anyone else. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I did that last time too.